Hello everyone, I am J. Hope Suis, the founder of Hope Boulevard, and thanks again for joining me as I am reading my book, Midlife Joyride, chapter by chapter. So today we are on chapter 1. So I am going to read the section header and then chapter 1, and that will be all for this particular episode. So the prologue pretty much basically just set us up for understanding that the book is about being single in midlife and what to do about it. So the section 1 is, how did I end up here? The quote for this section is actually from one of my favorite musical artists, Jon Bon Jovi. I don't think it's a line in one of his songs, and if it is, I don't remember or I don't recall the song. But the quote says, "Map out your future, but do it in pencil. The road ahead is as long as you make it. Make it worth the trip." Do you ever wake up early while it is still dark and in your groggy state wonder, where am I? Maybe you were having a bad dream and are slightly disoriented. Or have you ever missed an exit while driving and suddenly realized nothing looked familiar? Did this cause you to pull off on the side of the road and get out your map or your GPS and get your bearings? Feeling out of place or lost brings a sense of helplessness and fear when everything around you looks foreign. You ask yourself, how did I get here? Here is clearly defined as your current place or position. Unfortunately, what isn't always clear is how you arrived at this position. For me and many of my friends, here is being single in midlife, which is not at all where we envisioned our future many years ago. This can be quite disorienting and feel like a bad dream. Hardly anything around looks familiar or seems right. You see yourself in the mirror and wonder, who is that looking back? It's quite normal to literally shake your head and wonder how you ended up here all alone. Sim is definitely not the destination I dreamed of as a young girl. Most of us had future visions of love and marriage and family and growing old with someone. We pictured children and then grandchildren coming over for family gatherings and memorable holidays. Or maybe we dreamed of traveling with our partner to check off long-awaited items on our bucket list. Love seemed like such an easy thing to find at that early age. We had no idea the sustaining and protecting it can sometimes be much harder. We did not stop to consider that we might lose it or fail to find it at all. Yet many of us wake up startled and disoriented in midlife all alone. Of course, the concept of being alone is not completely bad. For those of us with children, we look forward to the day when the birdies would leave the nest and we could reclaim the couch, the television, and the refrigerator. But we never actually considered the possibility of eating all by ourselves on that couch, but with a lean cuisine for one out of that refrigerator and watching reruns on that television. The picture of our life at this point was supposed to be of two, and now it's been ripped in half. Or in this day and age, it's cropped. I don't think anybody actually rips pictures anymore, which actually can be a little bit therapeutic and freeing to rip a picture apart. But anyway, the point is, you're standing by yourself in the picture. You never wanted to be completely alone, yet you are. And some of you are scared and confused, unhappy, and not sure at all what to do next. Let's start with how many of us are out here. Sometimes it's easy to feel we're all alone in this spot, that our wrong turn took us into a deserted parking lot. No one else could possibly understand what we're going through or how lost we feel. And it's true, each person goes through individual personal struggles, but I am here to assure you that you are not alone. In fact, you're in some really great company. There are 34.4 million singles or unmarried people in the United States aged 40 to 69. That's roughly 29% of the population in that age group. So what, you say? What good does that possibly do me? For one, it should be comforting to know that you're not alone on the singles highway. You're not traipsing out here kicking up a lone trail of dust like a Mad Max movie. There is a community of people all around you dealing with the same situation. There's a lot of leaning on and helping out to be a part of. While it's important to move past the numbers, we do need some reference points and information. Let's take a few minutes here and pull off on a mental rest area to collect our thoughts and recharge our hearts. We will cut through the statistics and explore the different avenues one can travel to arrive here in Singleville. And then, if you want, avenues to leave. Let's start with a group of people who never took the plunge to tie the knot. The ones who chose or fell into a life with their love on idle, at least until now. Chapter 1, Coasting, No Trip to the Altar. The quote here is from Lewis Carroll, and it says, "In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take." Growing up within a family unit and being a part of a social norms prepare us all in some way for the concept and idea of marriage. It is literally a constant state that surrounds us. We all know someone who is extremely happy being married and those who are extremely miserable. Most of us have been both. There are some, however, who have never experienced either side of the road. We are not always sure if we should feel sorry for them or envy them. I say neither, for there are numerous paths our lives can travel, and all of them lead us to where we are today. In an attempt to better understand this particular path, let's explore a few reasons why someone might end up traveling on the outskirts of the norm. We will learn how the good and even the not so good can impact our love life. We will also learn that regardless of circumstances and decisions thus far, it is never too late to add this chapter to your life story if you desire. The choice. Some individuals make a conscious decision at a young age to remain single based on religious beliefs or personal convictions. This is a relatively tiny segment of the population. They choose to focus their lives and energies on pursuing faith and self-sacrifice. It's a wonderful avenue for those with that dedication and drive. There are also those who decide against marriage because they've bought into the hype and satirical views such as punchlines by comedians for decades. Rodney Dangerfield said, "My wife and I were happy for 20 years, and then we met." Groucho Marx quipped, "Marriage is a wonderful institution, but who wants to live in an institution?" Lily Tomlin said, "If love is the answer, can you rephrase the question?" I could go on, but you get my point. There's a lot of chatter out there on the ills and wiles of marriage, the ball and chain, having just one sex partner the rest of your life, never having control of your freedom or your money. It's no wonder some just forsake the idea of forsaking all others and decide to go it alone. For the remainder, it's less a decision and more the result of a series of circumstances. Years fly by and suddenly they look around and question their single status, wondering if they've missed out or made a mistake. I have a friend who was concerned about a recent comment I made regarding individuals who never married. He challenged that I painted them with too broad of a stroke and that it was unfair when I said that some people who were never married were self-absorbed and unable to play well with others. In my defense, at the time, I was referring to how this sometimes plays out in the online dating world, but he called me out on my statement. As someone never married himself, this comment affected him personally, and he adamantly denied being neither of those things. My friend, whom I've known for a few years, is correct. He was engaged at a young age and quite hurt when she disappeared. He is an adventurous chap and has spent his life traveling extensively, working hard, and has made a great life for himself. And even though he has continued to search for a partner, as of today's writing, he is still single. He asked me to broaden my lane to allow room for the various other situations and people who fall into this category of never married. And he has a great point. This is not a one-size-fits-all situation. And while I do stand by my original statement for a certain portion of this group, I completely agree with his assessment that I should do more research and be more open. Let's explore those who chose instead to travel a parallel road by still making a long-lasting commitment to a different, non-traditional altar. The career. Are you married to your job? Having a successful career is an amazing accomplishment, but often it comes with a price. The highest toll can often be your time. Working long days, weekends, and even through holidays does not afford many opportunities to meet and fall in love. Unless, of course, you fall madly in love with the cute FedEx driver who always picks up your last-minute deadline filings, or the girl in the next cubicle who works with her headphones on and doesn't even know you exist. If your typical Friday night date is your Excel spreadsheet or revenue reports, you may have traded a wedding ring for a 3-ring binder. Do they even make 3-ring binders anymore? Is that a bad thing? No, not at all. You should be very proud of the ladder's rung you have climbed. This is especially true if you own the ladder. Let's look at some successful singles. On the modern female side, right at the top, of course, is Oprah Winfrey. She is romantically linked to Stedman Graham. However, she has decisively remained unmarried in order to run her business and her life on her own terms. She knew the demands of her career and vision would not coincide with the emotional and time commitments of a marriage. Going back a history a bit, we find Clara Barton, who was born in 1821 in North Oxford, Massachusetts. She became interested in nursing at the age of 10 when her brother David fell off the roof of a barn and was severely injured. The doctors gave little hope of survival, but she was diligent in her care, and he made a full recovery. She went on to be a nurse in the Civil War and eventually founded the American Red Cross. Legend has it she received 3 proposals but decided never to marry. Being from Eastern North Carolina, I am especially drawn to 2 adventurous men who decided not to get married, Wilbur and Orville Wright. The Wright brothers successfully built and flew the first airplane in Kitty Hawk. They were not twins, but spent their entire lives working together on planes and air travel. Wilbur was once heard saying he didn't have time for both his airplanes and a wife. A modern, more recognizable bachelor, and one of my personal favorite actors, is Owen Wilson. He has been romantically linked with several beautiful women, but never made it as far as marriage. His attempted suicide in 2007 reportedly was over a crushing breakup, but we all know how the Hollywood rumor mill operates. It is also reported that his father, Robert Wilson, who was a television producer and advertising executive, died after a long bout with Alzheimer's disease. My point is, you never truly know another's story or the battles they face. Even famous people struggle with life's twists and turns. Marriage can sometimes be the last thing on anyone's mind. Running your own business or carving your own path highlights dedication and commitment. In fact, if there was a way to harness and transfer those qualities, like a business model for relationships, there would be great advancements in how we view finding a partner. Think about this impressive dating resume. Disciplined, confident, open-minded, passionate, creative, strong work ethic, loyal, determined. I would absolutely hire that guy for a life-traveling companion. Of course, not everyone is fortunate enough to run their own company, but many still have worked their way to the top with a grand view of the horizon. Another perk for having worked your way into singleness is financial security. Ironically, this is sometimes the exact opposite of how your finances end up after a divorce. Being self-sufficient is important at any age, and of particular value as we get older and face retirement. We all want to avoid becoming a burden, both physically and financially, to our loved ones. Many of those who never married have saved consistently throughout their younger years to accumulate a comfortable nest egg by this time in their life. Single or not, it's an important issue. I know of a woman in her late 50s who, after living with her boyfriend for only a year, was kicked out when he returned to his wife. That's material for another chapter. She literally was on the street with nothing and nowhere to go. While some say it's lonely at the top, I say having success can be sexy. There are dating sites specifically designed for prosperous and accomplished singles. The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are 2 highly popular reality dating TV programs that showcase the allure of sensual success. Confidence in owning your place in this world is hard to fake. People are drawn to positive energy. If you have achieved these characteristics through hard work and dedication, good for you. Be proud of this triumphant destination. You may have sacrificed a part of your life to get where you are, but look where you are. Now is the time to relax a little and enjoy the rewards of your hard work. Take time to find someone with whom to share those rewards. A word of caution: be careful when explaining your current corporate or financial status when meeting someone for the first time. Unfortunately, there are those who would view you as a meal ticket and ask to hitch a ride. Never become someone's financial Uber. Be aware of a person's intentions before getting too far down the road. You are in a great position to attract someone with like-minded goals and work ethic. There are social and civic organizations that encourage and highlight other professionals like you. Reach out and become involved with them. This is not a guarantee of finding love, but it is a great resource. It is also a way to give back to those up and coming behind you. Whenever you have any measure of success, whether professionally or personally, you should always take the time to share your inspirational story and path. Choosing a solid career path puts you in a great position for your upcoming retirement years. If you have accomplished the work goals you set out many years ago, rejoice. You are now ready. If you choose to trade a lot of hard work for a lot of play hard. Another thing is obligations. Are you married to your family? There is a general expectation that when children have reached adult status, they will move out and on with their lives, carving out their own path and future. Parents spend 18 years preparing their little ones to be independent and self-sufficient, and few believe they would ever stand in the way of their dreams. Unfortunately, there are occasions when the adult child can never quite leave the fold. When a parent or another close family member becomes sick or in some way disabled, oftentimes young adult children will step up to become caregivers. This is seen in very close-knit families who place a high value on sticking together through the tough times. Typically, the caregivers are women, but not all the time. Maybe you found yourself in this situation and chose, or were chosen, to sacrifice your early adult years to care for someone. The time flew past in a blur, and now you may find yourself with time, but no one with whom to share it, and not quite sure what to do. Do not regret your choice. I understand you see many others around you who have married and established families, but never underestimate the importance and the beauty of your decision. I helped with the care of my mother in her last years of battling cancer. I had been married, but was divorced at the time in my 30s. Yes, there was a cost to my social and love life involved, and there were times I was lonely, exhausted, and felt isolated. But looking back, I would not change 1 minute. I know without a doubt that my mother was well cared for, and I felt loved up to the very last moment of her life. That small piece of personal satisfaction is worth 1,000 dates. If you have fulfilled the commitment and are ready to make time for you, go for it. It is not too late, and you are not too old. You hear that 50 is the new 30, and I say 50 is also the new flirty. Do not be intimidated by worry lines or pickup lines. Get out there and explore the dating landscape. When someone inquires about the time leading up to now, tell them of your journey. It shows character and dedication and willingness to sacrifice. Those qualities are always on demand, and someone will notice and appreciate you for them. Let's say you're still an active caregiver. What options do you have? My dear friends, plenty. It is not selfish at all to want some time and enjoyment for yourself, even romance. Being a resource of love and energy requires your tank to be refilled on a regular basis. It will involve creative time management, but the rewards of positive mental health and the release of built-up stress will bring you back refreshed. Go online, put up a dating profile, and see who's out there. You will find there are many who will admire the choice you have made. If you're not sure about the online scene, check out your local area for caregiver groups. Many hospitals and organizations offer these because they understand the need to have a break and breathe a little. You will have access to information, support, and other individuals like yourself who are in search of friendship and possibly even more. Even though you have never been married because of a role you did not expect to take on so many years ago, never give up on love. Life is very forgiving, and if you want to start a new adventure, I am wholeheartedly on your side. What if your family obligations was not an illness, but a business? A family-run business can leave little time for a personal life. It is often very hard to break away. Fathers and mothers take great pride in building an empire for their children and especially love grooming them to take over. Restaurants are maintained by protecting secret family recipes. Farms are handed down through generations. Responsibilities can result in putting off marriage a little while longer until you wake up one day to find all you have are the cows or an industrial-size oven. It's all good. In fact, you are actually a little ahead of the game. As discussed earlier, when running a business, you develop great time management, multitasking efficiency, financial integrity, and relationship skills. However, bringing a love partner into a family-owned fold is not always easy. Boundaries need to be established on both sides and protections put in place to secure everyone's peace of mind, but find someone to enjoy the fruits and formulas of your labor. I do suggest keeping common interests in mind. I wouldn't recommend dating a vegetarian if you own a successful steakhouse or courting a prima donna if you run a farm. But I'm not one to judge when love shows up. The bottom line is now is the time to find the balance between helping your family and helping yourself. It is wonderful to love, support, care for, and even work with them, but you have a life to live too, and even work with them. Don't sacrifice your happiness to take on the weight of everyone's struggles. Do your part, feel good about it, then take off and shine. So just a few more pages. That is going a little bit longer than I thought, but I do want to finish the chapter. So the next section is dysfunction. Are you married to fear? With the overwhelmingly negative and disheartening statistics on marriage survival, it is easy to understand those who are just simply afraid of failing. For years, the average rate of divorce was around 50%. According to recent studies, that percentage is dropping slightly, but remains a staggering number. The rate of failing second marriages has continued to climb. When this is coupled with watching parents battle and even divorce, many just decide it's not worth the trouble. Family dysfunction is a leading cause of low self-esteem and anxiety in adults. When children are raised in a diseased environment and do not feel safe and valuable or cherished, they carry those feelings into their adult relationships, where patterns are repeated. Dysfunction can take the form of abuse, addiction, or neglect. By the time children are ready to be on their own, the last thing they want is to create another devastating union. They fear intimacy and learn that love is conditional or painful. It is difficult to trust others or even themselves. Feelings of being unworthy or bad lead them into damaging relationships because they do not feel deserving of someone good. A very poignant movie that touches on the subject is What's Eating Gilbert Grape. A father's suicide, a mother's neglect, and a younger brother's mental illness all make up the filter through which young Gilbert sees his world and his future. He is thrust into the role of provider and caregiver barely out of his teens. His view of love and stress management is clouded by fear and the constant pressure to be enough for everyone. He makes poor life and relationship choices followed by guilt and regret for those choices. Heavy and unrealistic burdens on children rob them of the ability to see hope when they reach adulthood. They lack the coping skills required to sustain lasting personal connections as they grow older. Children or young adults have a more difficult time recovering from traumatic events. Their emotional and cognitive skills are not fully developed and sometimes even stunted after consistent exposure to triggers. The numbers vary widely because of the problems in recognizing symptoms in children, but an average of 30% of children experience a traumatic event, of which approximately 10% of girls and 4% of boys develop symptoms of PTSD. They exhibit long-term feelings of detachment and an overall negative outlook on the world. What this means in the context for this book is that there are some of you reading this who know exactly what I'm talking about because it's you or someone you know and live with to this very day. Obviously, there are varying degrees of this issue. Not everyone who had a dysfunctional childhood suffers from PTSD. If that were the case, the percentages would go through the roof. My point is, some adults carry the burdens of their childhood into their adult lives and have complicated relationships with others and themselves. So if this is you now as a sim, what should you do? First of all, if you suffer from PTSD or any other type of severe emotional trauma, please seek professional help. There is no shame or stigma attached to getting better and wanting a peaceful and productive life. Help is available. In addition, I'm providing a few keys to open the door to your future. Before you can move on to finding love and forming a healthy romantic relationship, you will need to unlock the destructive cycle for which you are caught. Using these keys will break open barriers so you can envision a bright and splendid future, even starting now in midlife. Key 1, faith. Find faith in God. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are here for a purpose and where you need to be in this world. Find faith in yourself. You are more than enough. You are capable and smart with a beautiful soul. Stop comparing yourself to others. You do not know their whole story. They have struggles and insecurities too. Have faith that you are awesome. Key number 2, hope, which is my personal favorite. Hope is literally what I try to center my life around because hope is the great equalizer in this chaotic world of ours. There are so many things out of our control. As long as there is another moment, there is another chance. We can't change the past. We only have the gift of today. My best advice to you is to embrace and savor it. Worry and anxiety are not catalysts for change, but hope can drive you, inspire you, motivate you, change you. You cannot be anxious and hopeful at the same time. Choose hope. Key 3, love. Love is not actually the opposite of hate. It is the opposite of fear, which is actually the root of hate. Love yourself. Find a way. Do what it takes. You will never find true love with another person until you love the one in the mirror. You are not damaged. You are not defective. Whatever junk someone else tried to dump in your head, it was that person's junk and does not belong to you. Emotionally take out the trash. Refuse to believe and live with it any longer. Get out of your head and out of your own way. You are wholly capable of giving and receiving love. And the last one is courage. Fear is crippling, both mentally and emotionally. When it comes to romance and even marriage, fear of failure or fear of being unworthy has kept many from fulfilling and loving relationships. They are tied to dread instead. If fear is the only thing standing in your way, then punch the gas and plow over it. Laugh at it when it shows up in the dust in your rearview mirror. The road ahead is bright and sunny. Roll down the windows and cruise for a while, and then, when you are ready, open your passenger door and let someone in to enjoy the scenic route with you. Reaching your midlife years and never walking down the aisle is not a tragedy. A ring and a marriage license do not guarantee happiness. You only have to answer to the mirror about your life's choices. If your life is complete, joyous, and fulfilled as a single person, I am so happy and I'm proud of you. You are an inspiration to many who seek these things only with the aid of another. However, if you have accomplished and overcome goals laid out up to this point and now wish to up your game, then go for it. It is never too late. You can change the course and reroute your future. Okay, that was chapter 1 of section 1, and that's going to be all for this time, and we will pick up next time on chapter 2. Thanks again for listening. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the chapters, and I appreciate you listening. Have a good day.